Welcome back to Is There Any Money In? Myself, Ed Cavalier, currently doing Kegels, and with me is the official Equity Mates. Hello, gentlemen.
Ed?
Good to be here.
You both want to know what a Kegel is, don't you?
Yes.
It's like pelvic floor exercise.
Thank you. Yeah, if you ever see me in the gym, I say, well, Ed, what are you working out? What are you doing there, man? If anyone ever says to me, Ed, what are you doing today? So you have to ask me. We're in a gym.
Ed, what are you doing today?
Perineum.
What's that?
What?
Google it. Which leads me to our topic today.
What have we got?
It's me, and I am asking, is there money in bodybuilding?
Love it.
Now,
Great.
I do feel a little bit inadequate doing this episode because, Ed, you may have noticed that Bryce is bursting out of his jumper.
No, I've lost a bit recently.
Okay.
Yeah,
He's been going to a very high-class gym.
I've been booted out.
They test his blood.
You're not going to one of these, are you?
They put him.
At the moment, I'm not. No.
Put him on a treadmill with the oxygen mask, VO2 mask.
Not one of these joints. Do you go to one and they do the scans?
The scans.
How often do they do the scans?
I've only done it once, but for paying members, they do it every 6 months.
All right, everyone, you ready for this? This is a deep cut. People aren't going to want to hear this. Do you want to know how to do a body fat scan?
With your little
Grab
pincer.
your...
Put on some pants. Are they tighter than they were, or are they not as tight? See you next week.
It's done.
Well, that test might fall over when we start talking
You're
about
right.
those bodybuilders.
You're right.
Yeah. But look, as I said, Bryce is looking particularly swole these days.
What about Mr. Men's Health over
I was
here?
getting to that.
So much.
And our other co-host has graced the cover of Men's Health.
Yeah, I don't know if that magazine still exists, so I might have brought it down. And also,
It
I
does.
saw.
We'll share it on our socials.
No, you're right. I think it folded.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Men's Health.
Yeah, I brought it
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
Yeah,
You brought it down.
Yeah, I
You're
was
the last
I was
couple.
officially the last. They were like, well, see, it's at the end of that.
No, they were like, well, once you've reached the mountaintop,
Thank
the
you
only
so
way
much.
it goes down.
Do you know what I didn't get as part of that?
Paid.
No, true. So my wife was on the Women's Health cover, #preggers at the time, right? But, man, dudes, I got no DM slide-ins from chicks being like, no one has to know. You look so good.
Really?
What is the point?
Yeah, well, it's because you're on the front of Men's Health.
No, but I'm saying if everyone shared it, I was like, chicks would be like, hey, baby, what's up?
Yeah.
No one
This
has
guy's
to know.
funny and
Yeah,
hot.
No one
Oh
has
my
to know,
God.
like, what's going on. Nothing.
Wow.
Whatever. So,
Whatever.
So, well,
whatever.
We'll leave it there.
What is
If
the
it-
point?
if it makes you feel better, and I'm happily in a relationship now, but back,
The lady doth protest too much.
Where's this going?
we'd been doing Equity Mates for about 3 years, no Instagram slide-ins, and then a mate came on one episode and gets hit up. So
Who was
yeah.
this mate?
His name's Rohan, and his
What's he ever done?
His Instagram handle
lot.
is @Ronaldinho7 or something.
Is he a soccer
he's-
guy?
Yeah, he's a big soccer
Big
guy.
soccer guy.
But what's he do in real life?
Logistics.
Boring.
Anyway, bodybuilding.
Yes.
So I am fascinated by this subculture because there's like, in terms of level of commitment,
Oh, yeah.
and like what you have to do
Yes.
to your body and like irreversibly change it,
Yes.
and we'll get to what you put in it and all of that
Yes.
stuff. There is nothing more committed than this.
So true.
So we've been asking at the start of every episode, do you think there's money in it? But before we do, I just want to put a bit of a scope on
Please.
this
Okay.
because there's a lot of ways to make money being fit and being hot on social media.
Yes.
And there's plenty of money in owning gyms
Yep.
if you're successful. There's plenty of money in being a PT.
Yep. Absolutely.
You know that better than most, Ed. There's plenty of money in being big on Instagram,
Yep.
pivoting that into a supplements company or
Yes,
something like
fair
that.
enough. Yep.
So the scope that I want to put on this is there money on doing things that aren't like being a competitive bodybuilder?
Great. So the act of bodybuilding, does it pay off for the bodybuilding part of it?
Exactly. It's
Okay,
not just
great.
like, is there money in being hot and ripped, but is there money in
Gotcha.
taking it to a competitive level?
All right. Great.
Yeah. So
Okay.
what do you guys think? Is there money in bodybuilding?
I think with that scope, I'm definitely down in the 2 to 3 range.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think now with the attention that it gets and the amount of competitions there are, I think I'm going to go a 5. I know that certainly in the old days, zero, #0, but I reckon there's more now. I'm going to go a 5. I reckon there's probably some money in it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get into it. And I think, we said there's a level of commitment. I think to set the scene, we should just unpack what you have to do to be a bodybuilder.
Go.
This clip is from a Vice Sports documentary, Juiced Up, The Consequences of Steroids. They follow Mike Bolkovic, a bodybuilder from New York. Fitting name, Bolkovic.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, I like that one, yeah.
So this is his life.
I've been bodybuilding now since 21, so I'm going on 14 years now, and I don't plan on stopping. Who wakes up every morning, meal preps, cooks all their food, has a steady schedule? I work from 7 in the morning till 7, 8 o'clock at night, and I still find a way to hit the gym every single night, 6 days a week. I remember I used to see this guy in the gym every single day and went up to him, and he said, if you're serious, come see me, and I'll show you what it really is. It's like a freaking pharmacy. I got all the pins for growth hormones.
Oof.
If you wanna, when I used to take it. Right now I'm not doing it. What you're about to see is probably what I've done within the past year. This is probably like a collection. These are all like empty bottles that I have just laying around.
Mm.
There's so many different kinds. Like this one is just the most craziest one. That's called Trends. This one is just known for very bad side effects. It can cause problems with your sex drive. This is by far my favorite one. It's called T400. Basically, it's a blend of fast test, slow test
Oh, yeah.
mixed together. And basically, it's just my favorite. That's every shot you take is just 400 milligrams of testosterone in every one.
Fuck.
And to tell you the truth, I got nervous because I even go to a sports doctor
Oh.
and he knows a lot about it. And he was in nervous. There has been times I've got rushed to the hospital. Like, there's times I've been in the hospital, my family don't even know. And I just didn't want to tell them because it was because of that. And when I first started, I couldn't control my anger at all. I used to bash every wall in my house. And it went from anger to depression. I lost 2 serious relationships. I was engaged. A big reason why that came to an end was because of my steroid use.
Pretty grim.
Crazy.
Looks good, though. Sweet biceps.
So,
That's, yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
have you guys seen the Louis Theroux doco on bodybuilding?
But he always does the same thing.
What? Awkwardly asks people questions.
He's so, look, good luck to him. He's a zillionaire, whatever. But I'm so tired of, like, elite private school British people going and looking at wacky Americans or wacky people and doing asking a question and then just staring at them. If I ask you a question, so how is your relationship going?
Really good. Thanks for asking.
Ed's staring at Ren
Yeah,
right now.
yeah, thanks for narrating that.
For context.
It does make me want to keep answering the question, and I'm sure I'd say something stupid.
And then just use the third answer
Yeah.
to make you look bad.
Mm.
He's like the Stasi. I got no interest in his caper. None. I just think it's so punching down. Everything he does punches down. And then when you hear him speak, well, I'm very interested in the edges of society. Fuck, mate. We know. You're very interested in the edges of society, i.e. people you think are stupider than you that you can make money from.
Of all the hot takes I expected from this series of Is There Money In, it wasn't that Ed hates Louis Theroux.
The technique. Good luck to him, etc.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Do you guys, everyone love him? Everyone loves him. I know everyone loves him.
I guess, yeah. It's like the Channel 7 clip where they asked Tony Abbott, like, what were you thinking, Tony?
Yeah, you're not
and he
saying
just says
anything,
back,
Tony.
you're not saying anything, Tony.
Yeah, it's just so... Anyway, whatever.
Anyway, that's worth watching. Cut that. So in Australia, the biggest bodybuilding competition was known as Mr. Australia. It's now known as the Australian Championships. But do you know what the biggest event in the world of bodybuilding is?
It's got to be the Arnie one.
Is it the Arnold Classic or
Yeah.
Arnold-
the Olympia?
The Arnold Classic is the second biggest.
Wow, that's pretty good for him to establish it and get it to there.
Yeah.
Is it the IB something or other? World
No,
Championships?
you got it. The
IBF?
Mr. Olympia.
Mr. Olympia.
Yeah,
Yep,
which
okay.
IFBB. There's so many
It's
different.
worse
bo-
than boxing. There's
it's
so many.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Divisions.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like governing bodies.
Oh,
They're
it's
all like
crazy.
competing.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But I think IFBB is the main one, International Federation of
Bodybuilding.
yeah.
and so Mr. Olympia. So, what do you think first prize for Mr. Olympia
Oh,
would be?
God help me. I'm going
I
to...
reckon like 75 grand.
100 grand.
Yeah. So more than that,
Oh.
$400,000.
Hey, that's good.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
And-
You can win it more than once.
Yeah, well, actually, the
Oh.
history of Mr. Olympia is big chunks of people winning it.
Oh,
like
long may they reign.
Arnold reigned for a
Yes.
while, then like Phil Heath reigned for a while. Ronnie Coleman reigned for
Oh,
a
Coleman,
while.
classic.
Yeah.
The first online bodybuilding superstar.
Yeah.
Ronnie Coleman.
Yeah, there's some-
he really was the first to go, what if I was just filming my workouts and people being mad for it?
Yeah, he, there's footage of him that I was watching on Letterman or
Yes.
one of
Yeah.
those TV shows, and he was like a celebrity in his own right.
Do you think the personality matters? Because they say it's half the muscles and half the posing, the sequencing, the personality on stage. And Ronnie Coleman has a great personality.
yeah.
I feel as though, I don't know, at that...
As in the like judges come in.
Are
with a
they
bit of
thinking, all right, who else is going
vibe
to
of-
be? Yeah, I think that.
Yeah,
I think
you
so.
kind of have preconceived
You know,
notions about
yeah,
who they
yeah,
are.
yeah.
You're,
Yeah.
you're preconditioned to like them.
That's what I think. Yes.
Yeah. So Ronnie Coleman was dominant for a while, and then Jay Cutler comes and beats him.
Oh.
And I've got this clip that talks about the amount of prize money Jay Cutler
Great.
won in his time. And just FYI, Sasha wasn't able to cut this. We'll trim this a little bit, but
So Jay Cutler was a very successful pro. He obviously won a lot of pro shows. Let's talk about the main ones here. So Jay Cutler won 3 Arnold Classic titles. He won 4 Mr. Olympia titles. So for the Arnold Classic, he won the 2002, 2003, and 2004 Arnold Classics. 3-time Arnold Classic champion. Each Arnold Classic paying out a total of $100,000 in prize money for first place.
Okay.
And also each Arnold Classic paying out a brand new Hummer.
That's great.
3 Hummers.
$20,000 Rolex each year.
Oh,
yeah,
that's good. The Rolex.
yeah.
$80,000. So we're looking at almost $190,000 from just the 3 Arnold Classic wins alone. It's quite a bit of value for the number 2 show in bodybuilding. So if we go on to look at Olympia titles, Jay Cutler won the 2006, 2007, 2009, and 2010.
Look at him as well.
Shit.
There we
So
go.
in 2006
That's the
and
stuff.
2007, he received $155,000 each year for his first place finish at the Mr. Olympia, the biggest title in bodybuilding. And in 2009 and 2010, he received $200,000 for each of those years. So just in prize money alone right there,
Wow.
the first and second biggest shows in bodybuilding, that's $1,010,000
Whoa.
just from that prize money.
That's okay.
Yeah.
We've got ourselves a millionaire.
So over $1 million, and that $1,010,000 didn't include the 3 Hummers that he also collected.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there's money in winning these competitions.
All right.
That's undeniable.
Yeah, undeniable.
Yeah.
Which I don't think has always been the case. I'm sure in the Arnold documentary, the recent one on Netflix, I'm sure he talks about
Yeah.
getting 10 grand, 5
Yeah,
grand,
that's why I
4
said
grand, 3
75,
grand.
'cause
But
Yeah.
you've got to remember Arnold was winning them in the 70s.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
Yeah,
ages
yeah,
ago.
yeah.
Before it was really, and he did, obviously, everyone knows he did a lot to promote
Yeah.
the idea
Yeah.
of it being a sport. Like,
Jay Cutler, as we're using it as an example, has made over $1 million in prize money
Yeah.
just from the big tournaments
Yep.
that he won a few times. But there's plenty of costs that come
Oh, yeah.
with being a bodybuilder.
the costs.
Now, let's start with food before we get onto the other good stuff. Now, the good thing here is we can use Bryce as a bit of a reference point. because
Perfect.
Bryce has his budget down to line items. So I told you before we jumped in the studio, I wanted to ask you this. What's your annual food budget?
For Harriet and myself,
Sure, for both of you.
15 grand.
for the year.
Yeah.
All right. This is
Is
what.
and who came to that?
Do you-
Who came to that figure?
We both did. Like we both sat down and did the budget.
And what were the luxury food items that had to go?
None. We did it so that we could buy what we wanted to eat.
And so, how many unsanctioned coffees are part of that?
Unlimited.
Where does the buck stop? Because it must. I know you. It stops where.
Jeez, we shouldn't have got Ed on the Louis Theroux thing. We're both getting
Where
grilled.
does the the Truman Show when the boat hits the horizon? When does the boat hit the horizon?
It doesn't.
Does booze count as food?
In this instance, no. Like if Harriet or I go out separately with friends or whatever, that's on us.
Oh, that's not
Makes
part of the joint budget.
No. So this is joint budget. Like we'll eat and drink together, meals,
So romantic.
etc. That's all in that budget. Weekly shop, Uber Eats, blah blah blah.
That's great.
Okay.
That's great.
So 15,000. Do you what
Yeah,
you've got kids, so I assume it blows out. But do you have a ballpark of what you spend on food?
No.
Yeah, neither
Couldn't
do I,
tell you.
to be honest.
Hashtag couldn't tell you. But
Yeah.
I'm not I don't go out to dinner. I'm not a go out to dinner type of guy because I'm terrible company.
Fair enough.
Exactly. So,
I would have thought you'd be wined and
say
dined
that-
by media executives.
nah, they couldn't. No, they don't want to listen to my Louis Theroux gear. They love him. They're trying to get hold of him.
All right. Here's what Jay spends on food.
Back then, I was probably spending maybe $50,000 a year.
Wow.
4 or 5 pounds of meat a day. That's a lot. I eat every other hour. If you just had a diversity, I would have a clock and I would honestly. I eat for function, not for taste. Like 80% of what we do is nutrition. Wow. How much do you think you're spending?
So for people,
Oh man.
4 to 5 pounds, 4 to 5 pounds of meat a day. 5 pounds is 2.3 kilos. So he was just putting meat into his body.
My God.
There are stories of him when he would go shopping and he would get he would like buy the shop out of chicken and he would have a second and he would go to a butcher and buy full cows at a time and he would have a second freezer in his house which was just meat and just force feed himself.
God.
He we're spending a lot of time on Jay Cutler because I think he really illustrates.
I think
the
it's
point.
a good place to be.
Yeah, he so he lost to Ronnie Coleman like 4 times, came second over and over again, and then he was like, "I'm gonna beat Ronnie Coleman," and apparently the big part of it, obviously there was some extracurriculars, but a big part of it was food, and he would set a timer and eat every 2 hours and just force feed himself meat.
Yeah, that happens to like your Hugh Jackmans and that too. When like he's doing Wolverine at the moment, and he'll often look at my fridge, and it's the timed meals.
Yeah.
That works.
Yeah, okay.
That works. But you can do it in your own life if you want to just lose a few kilos. You can do that just with eating, slightly more regularly, but slightly less.
How did you get so ripped for your men's health?
Look, I don't like to prescribe stuff, but I came up with a supplement concoction that was not steroids or anything.
Okay, I thought we were going in a different.
No, but which we'll talk about later on. But also, you just train and don't eat carbs at night, and then don't drink milky coffees. The end.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
And I don't drink, so because I don't drink.
Oh, you don't drink at all?
No,
Oh, okay.
I haven't drunk since I was 24. So there's a fucking ton of sugar in booze.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying don't. I'm saying hey, go live your life, have fun. But just don't eat carbs at night and milky coffee.
It's also eating the right amount so that your body's actually.
That's a bit because you got to remember if I'm an inch taller than you, it's different. If it's people get stuck on that a little bit. Like he says, it's 80% nutrition. What he means by that is it's 80% knowing what for your body what is going to be right.
Yeah, that's what I mean though. Like if you're not eating enough protein.
Oh yeah, you're not going.
You're
anywhere.
not going anywhere.
No, you're not going.
Like you can
need a
cut
surplus.
carbs and
Yeah,
blah,
you need a
blah, but
surplus.
if you're just not getting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, this isn't a health podcast, so let's pull ourselves out of it and get back to the business
Yes.
side of it. So keeping in mind that he was winning $100,000 when he won the Arnold Classic, more than that for Mr. Olympia, but spending $50,000 a year
Jesus, my
just on
God.
food, $50,000. You can
Time it would take to cook all that as well.
yeah.
He would prep. He would spend a day prepping it, and then he
Yeah.
would just have it for the week. I used to have a mate of mine at the video store. They had a sale. The Thai restaurant across the road on Sundays would do a discount on like meals, and he would buy all his meals for the week from the Thai restaurant and then just freeze them and reheat them.
Wow.
Wow.
It was genius.
That's pretty
It
good.
was a long way ahead of his time.
Yeah, that sounds better than just kilos of chicken.
It,
as
was,
well.
it was genius.
So that's food. 50 grand a year on food. Now let's get to the good stuff. How much are they spending on steroids? This, to be clear, this isn't Jay Cutler talking about it. You don't find a lot of people talking about it.
Twice that amount, I reckon.
You reckon?
I don't know. I'm guessing.
What do you reckon?
From what they were saying they were taking, I reckon less than that. I reckon if you cycle it through a month, depending on where they're getting it from, maybe 20?
20 grand a month.
Total.
No, 20 grand. Oh, yeah, 20 grand a month.
20 grand
Oh,
a
sorry,
month.
no, sorry, 2 grand a month. 2 grand,
2 grand a month. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. All right. This is from the same Vice Sports documentary.
Like a full-blown cycle, I'm easily going anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000. I know people that spend $7,000 a month.
Yeah.
And I mean, some of them are pros, some of them are trying to get to that level.
2 to 5. So yeah, you nailed it.
Also, you wouldn't do it all year. You got to cycle in and out.
Yeah.
So you do 8 weeks, get off it. 10 weeks, get off it. That type of thing.
Weird. You know a lot about it.
Yeah. Human growth, you can keep going though. That's the but. Once you get started, you gotta keep doing it. Otherwise,
you
you
can't.
fall apart.
Well, that's what they said about testosterone. They
Yeah.
said
Gotta get used to it.
he reckons he's going to be on testosterone for the
course.
rest of his
Yeah,
life.
that's right.
Yeah, yeah,
Have
yeah.
to be.
Why? What happens if you stop?
Your body has homeostasis. You can only, if you've got a certain, your body will only get a certain amount of muscle on it because it's always trying to fight to get back to homeostasis, to go, this is the body that we can live in when it gets cold and the saber-toothed tiger's trying to attack us, or when it gets hot and we need less body fat, so because we can just be outside and then we need to run a bit quicker, but we can only run it for slightly less distance because the saber-toothed tigers are a bit more frisky, right? So then if you want to break that homeostasis, you need calories or you need testosterone. And once your body starts to get that testosterone, because we are a testosterone creating machine, i.e. being male, then your body starts to adapt to that and goes, cool, I guess this is how much testosterone we have now.
Right.
And then if you take it away, it goes, oh,
Uh-oh.
now hang on a sec. Are we doing something here? I need that.
Right.
And I think like over the long course
Yeah.
of time, your body starts to regenerate it itself again. But like,
Yeah, no, it depends
No?
how old you are.
Yeah,
and depends how
okay.
much you were jabbing in, how much you were stacking in there, and
Yeah.
what quality.
yeah,
There's a big issue in between these. So there's documentaries about what happened to a generation of guys who took the second generation of testosterone and the issues that they had with their hearts, etc., versus the first and the third.
yeah.
There's a really interesting guy called Victor Conti who ran the Balco lab that got busted for the baseballers and all that back in the day. He's a very interesting guy to listen to talk about when he developed, quote, the clear, which was the anabolics that they couldn't detect at the Olympics, and then when they all got busted, and then what since happened to the athletes that were on that. That's a beauty.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So the business of winning Mr. Olympia or something
Yes.
like that, there's prize money on the line, but your costs are big. 50,000 on
Yeah,
food,
massive.
between 2 and 7 grand a month on steroids, but not for the full year. Maybe another 20, 25 grand. But so today, Mr. Olympia is $400,000 prize money. So if you just do the math there, you're still clearing a profit if you win. But the if you win is the big caveat because the prize money falls away massively. In 2021, Mr. Olympia winner was Big Rammy is his nickname. He won 400 grand. Second place, Brandon Curry, $150,000 prize money.
Ouch.
So already there, you're
Ouch.
getting
Gone.
closer to break even.
Gone.
Third, Hadi Chopin, 100,000. Fourth, Hunter Labrada, $40,000.
Ouch.
Doesn't even cover your food budget at this
No. point.
Fifth, Nick Walker, $35,000. And that's it. Top 5 or bust.
Jesus Christ.
Much like, like a lot of individual sports,
Yeah.
you really are, you're not getting paid to compete. You're
No.
getting paid to win.
Like UFC.
But unlike, your golf or your tennis, where even if you're ranking a lot lower, you might get some cash. These guys are walking away with nothing. If you're it's top 5 or bust. And it's not like there's another golf tournament the next weekend. There's only a few big tournaments. So the question then is, if you're, Nick Walker or any of these guys that got not enough, how are you making your money?
Instagram.
Well, the scope for this was, we're not going to
Competition
talk
only.
about, we're not going to talk about
Supplements
being
deals.
big on Instagram.
Supplements deals.
Sponsorship. Yeah. And the world of sponsorship is unfortunately changing for bodybuilders because the 90s and the early 2000s were a golden
Yes.
age. And surprisingly, it wasn't because supplement companies were having a golden age. It's because print media was in its golden age. So when the rivers of gold of print media were
Muscle
still
and fitness,
flowing.
bodybuilding mag, yes.
Exactly. So there were apparently 2 major publications back in the day, Flex and Muscular Development.
Yes.
Can't say I've read either of them.
Never
I
heard
have.
of
And when you watched Arnold's early years, one of his early business mentors and sponsors is the guy who published insert name of magazine he can't remember.
Okay.
But that was one of his big ways of getting out there, and once he convinced that guy that he was the man for him because of his personality and his looks, etc., the covers and the constant pages in this magazine. Look, everyone does this, but the classic stat about Arnold is that he was a millionaire before he made his first movie.
Yeah.
And it's from a lot of property, but the seed capital comes a lot from what you're talking about.
Yeah. I think, is there a movie on him?
There's a doco.
There's a
on
recent
Netflix.
Netflix one.
Yeah.
Joe Wider or something?
But it's a really good. But his book's really good, Total Recall, and the most recent Netflix documentary is good because it's just you can't tell him what to say; he's just going to say it.
Oh wait, we're talking Arnold?
Yeah.
Oh, so-
you mean the publisher?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy as well. There's a doco on here. I can't remember the name of it. But
Yeah.
it's on YouTube.
Okay. Anyway.
But you're right. That was a way. There we go. Yep.
Yeah. So the reports were. So you get a pro card from the International Fitness
interesting.
and Bodybuilding Federation.
Like a so you can participate in
Yeah,
tournaments.
yeah,
like a tour card.
Like a
Yeah,
PGA.
exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So I think most sports would have something similar. It's like you are now a
That's
professional.
interesting. Yep.
And now you can do all this. In the 90s, early 2000s, you got your pro card. You were basically set financially because you would get a sponsorship with one of the 2 main
there you go.
magazines. And if you were big, like if you were, the next Arnold or something, there would be a bidding war for
Wow.
you. And then you would, be in their
Wow.
magazine and
Yeah.
promote their supplements and everything else. With the decline of print media, that's changed. I actually don't even know if those magazines exist
Don't know.
anymore, but the idea that you're just getting these massive contracts
Wow.
isn't a thing. So the world of sponsorship is changing and not in the bodybuilder's favor. So then the question is, where are you going to get your sponsorship from today? Supplement companies is the obvious one. And you can get up to $250,000 a year, which is obviously good money. And you'd
great
never
money.
need to win a competition if you were getting that. But for low-level bodybuilders these days, a lot of them may not even get cash. They might
get the
just get
supplements.
free stuff.
powder.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Or
Or
Surely just ask for 50 grand worth of meat.
well, yeah. You're right. It's meat that you want.
Yeah,
you want
true.
a butcher,
Yeah,
not
butcher
a
sponsorship.
yeah. Oh,
That's actually
Jesus.
not bad.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty
Butchers
good.
should come in.
But also the problem that they've got is the inherent understanding that no one thinks it's the supplements that got them that big.
Yeah, that's the challenge.
That's the issue they
Yeah.
have. It's like, oh, I'm natural. Well, still no one believes you, even if it's true.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like the cause.
So, so Phil Heath, who won a few Mr. Olympias, he actually won 7 Mr. Olympias in a row. So he was
Oh
he
my
was big.
god.
The reports are that he made 2 to 3 times as much from his sponsorships
Makes sense.
as from his Mr. Olympia.
That makes
win.
sense. Yep.
So, like, if you're at the top of the poll, if you're a Phil Heath or a Jay Cutler, you're winning the Mr. Olympia prize money, and you're also getting all the
Jeez.
sponsorship dollars.
Yeah.
And then everyone else is sort of getting
Nothing.
nothing. Maybe a few
Oh my
tubs of
gosh.
protein. Yeah. So it's not great if you're not at the top.
For the love of the game.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's very like that, isn't it? It's just that because that's a big part of it. They just like to be massive and ripped.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you hear them whenever you hear bodybuilders talk. it's the lifestyle
Yeah.
that they talk
addiction.
about. Yes, it's the feel. It's like golf. It's like
Yeah.
guys who are addicted to going and playing golf as much as they possibly can. These guys love to lift and jab.
In the Vice Sports documentary, the guy talks about how he just loves being seen as massive.
See?
And
There you
like
go.
walking out with his
loves it.
girlfriend and everyone
shit.
being like, I don't want to with that guy.
He loves it. There you go. I think he's getting.
So he's self-conscious.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
he's,
well,
he's
Oh, yeah.
There
low
has to be an
self-esteem.
element of
Yeah.
self-consciousness.
Yeah.
he
Yeah,
would
yeah.
be thinking about his body.
all the time.
He would never not be thinking about his
Yeah,
body.
yeah.
Never.
No
Remember Arnold in this thing? He's like, first time I've heard him say it actually. He's like, I would leave, I would see myself at one Mr. Olympia and I would look at my body and go, that's disgusting. Like they have what it's called
Demons.
body dysmorphia
Yeah.
in the mind or whatever. A lot. I'm not saying everyone. I'm saying that Arnold Schwarzenegger said he had it, and I'm sure it's a puppet. But also, it's like whatever. Like people get mad tattoos and nose rings and
Yeah.
whatever. Do whatever you want
Plastic
to yourself. If
surgery.
you want to
Yeah,
look
yeah.
away and feel away, whatever.
Yeah.
Just who cares?
Yeah. So then the only other real money maker that I could think of was then like fitness modeling, and obviously that maybe falls out of our scope a little
Yeah,
bit
okay.
because you don't need to be a professional bodybuilder
No.
to but a lot of the guys that were interviewed when I was researching were talking about how it opens up a whole new world of I guess like modeling opportunities and
Really?
yeah, I guess for these like bodybuilding sites and
Yeah, it
stuff
doesn't
like
feel
that.
as though Uniqlo's.
I was just thinking, yeah, like
Sorry, it probably closes a few as well.
men's shorts. Yeah, there's massive bodybuilders
yeah.
rolling in.
Yeah.
Venroy.
I mean, maybe it's a whole new market for them.
Maybe it is. Yeah.
But there's obviously like a lot of specific apparel brands and stuff for those ones.
Gymshark, etc.,
Well,
etc.
we'll put a pin in Gymshark because we'll
Uh-oh.
get to them. But there's one called like Gorilla Wear that I came
Great.
across, which is just for bodybuilding.
Okay.
Unfortunately, being a fitness model, not super lucrative as well.
No.
Male fitness models don't make a lot of money. When I was living in New York, I was doing personal training, worked for a movie company on the side. And on my way home, walking to the train, I got scouted by an agent at a modeling agency. He said, hey, you should go to this place right now. Tell him I sent you. And I was like, what? It's weird. But it was on my way home, so I said, hey, what I got to lose? I walked in there, I got the job, and the job paid me $500 for one day of work. Now, at the time, I thought that was a lot of money. So I started to pursue it. I signed with that agency, and I started getting jobs everywhere. Nike, Adidas, Puma, Brand Jordan. It's cool money when you get the job, but there's not as many jobs. So I would get jobs here and there, but I wasn't really making real money. I still had to do other jobs on the side. At my peak, I probably made $5,000 a month, but then that would fluctuate so much that over the year, I probably averaged under minimum wage. I probably advise against it. There's a lot easier ways to make a lot more money. Male fitness model.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Okay. Modeling is competitive.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Wow.
And $5,000 a month that is peak compared to what you got to do, what you got to
Yeah,
pay. To
yeah,
do it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
So let's put a pin in it here.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's money in bodybuilding?
No.
I thought there's more than I thought.
Yeah.
I think the prize money is higher than I thought, and I reckon if you looked locally, you would go, okay, yep. I think these guys are going to do it anyway. I think it's one of those.
Yeah.
No one's
I think
part-time bodybuilding who want to try and compete. Your life is this.
Yeah.
But I reckon there's lifestyle bodybuilders who don't give a about competing.
That's yep, 100%.
So they're on the
the majority of them.
Yeah,
would be
they're
Yes.
on the roids. They're eating. They're in the lifestyle that they're not going for Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, true. I was at a 5. I reckon I'd stay there. I think there was.
Me too.
Yeah, there's more than I thought, but overall, nah. No dice.
I'm
baby.
staying at 3 purely because it's for the top 2 competitions globally for the number 1 person.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. When you say it like that, it doesn't sound too good.
There's good. There's
Like
money
every-
that I thought was more than it would be, but then you're done.
Every Is There Money, and we've done so far, horse racing, movies, now bodybuilding. The takeaway is it's
There's a
it's a
tail.
triangle,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
at the very pointy end of the triangle, there's money.
Yeah.
It just feels like bodybuilding is particularly pointy.
Super pointy.
Like,
Yeah, it's super
yeah.
pointy. Yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah.
So I want to broaden the scope just as we get towards the end, because the real money is in leveraging what you've done as a bodybuilder into owning a business.
Yeah.
And shout out to a few Australians doing the damn thing. Teresa Cutter, the healthy chef. You guys heard of her?
No.
So I actually hadn't, but Alice told me about her. She was a bodybuilder who is now like big on Instagram and
She's
has
doing
this company, The
chef
Healthy
stuff.
Chef.
All right, cool.
So that's one. Callum von Moger. I'm going to say a lot of names that people
Great
probably
name.
don't recognize. He pivoted his bodybuilding exploits into actually the movie business. He played Arnold Schwarzenegger
Oh, yes.
in the movie Bigger.
Yeah. Cool.
Aziz Shavasyan. Hold on. Aziz Shavasyan. Name ring a bell?
No.
Maybe this name rings a bell. Ziz?
Aziz. Or
No,
Ziz.
Ziz. You remember Ziz?
Didn't he pass away?
Yeah.
That was tragic. He was
Yeah.
very young.
He was very young.
He
but
had a great.
his-
He had such a great personality, and he had a catchphrase: "Let's get aesthetic." I thought, that was a tragic story because he
Yeah.
was so.
Massive,
Yeah, he
wasn't
was massive,
Massive.
and had great vibe. He had the best
Yeah.
energy and vibe.
So he was massive. I was trying to think. It would have been in Facebook days.
Yeah,
'Cause
he
it
was.
Like,
Yeah, he
it
was
was
a
like
Facebook
when we-
guy.
High school.
Yeah. But he started Protein of the Gods, his like supplement
Wow.
and clothing company. I think it still exists today.
Good.
Lee Priest, who became one of the youngest men to turn IFBB pro when he was just 20.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
I think he won a few things. I don't think he ever won Mr. Olympia, but he actually then started his own bodybuilding competition, another federation or another competition
Wow.
you could join. I think it was based in Australia, but like the Lee Priest Invitational or something
Okay.
like that. So again, like taking what they've done in the sport
Yeah.
and building a business
Yeah.
around it.
Good.
Gymshark. You guys both heard of it?
Yeah,
I've seen it on bodies.
Yeah. Bodybuilders.
No, people
more slender bodies.
more like people doing one squat and then looking at their phone for 4 minutes.
I think it probably is worth. I think Gymshark is a good example of the difference between being the sponsored athlete and owning the business.
Oh yeah.
So Gymshark, for people who are unfamiliar, founded in 2012 as a drop shipping supplement company.
Mm-hmm.
Bryce has dreams to start a drop shipping company. So
Big money in that. That's the next one. Is there money in drop shipping?
Yes.
Sick.
Next
What
question.
do I do?
We'll leave it. We'll put a pin in it.
There's actually a drop ship machine at my local gym. People don't even know what that means.
So 2012 started as a dropshipping supplement company. 2013 they start designing and manufacturing their own apparel. And Gymshark's point of difference or their special sauce was they were super early on influencer marketing.
Smart. There
They
you go.
were so early on,
Yeah, right.
and they were so good at it. I think they've got more than 100 like official Gymshark athletes. I think heaps more than 100 now. The average official Gymshark athlete makes between $6,000 and $10,000 per month.
Oh
That
wow.
tells you something.
That's great.
That tells you what they're making.
The top Gymshark athletes, and this is from sponsorship and like referrals and stuff like that, makes up to $100,000 a month.
Wow.
So
Wow.
you're clearing more than $1 million a year just being a
That's amazing.
Gymshark athlete and having a massive Instagram following. Not bad. In 2020, US private equity firm General Atlantic bought about 20% of Gymshark and gave it more than $1 billion valuation.
Wow.
And hold on, let me just get their sales because that's the one stat I don't have. And in that same year, Gymshark did £440 million of revenue.
Wow.
So in less than a decade, they've gone to almost
God, that's a
$500 million in revenue.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Just on the back of influencer marketing.
Mm.
So like you can make good money as an influencer, but you make great money owning the business behind the influencers. So that's probably the takeaway, and that's probably a takeaway for a lot of these things. There is some money in it, but there's a lot more money in owning the business behind the
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. And I think, to close it out, you can look at the list of the wealthiest bodybuilders of all time, and it probably illustrates how little money is in the sport. Wealthiest bodybuilder of all time,
Arnold.
Arnold. Want to guess how much?
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
but yeah, this
just
is-
from
nah,
just
nah.
from bodybuilding.
No, just
or-
his
Nah,
wealth.
no. It's easy. Over $500 million, easy.
300 million.
No way, that's
But-
low.
You reckon?
That's low.
Well, take it up with the random
Can
website
do.
I looked
Yeah.
up. But obviously, most of his wealth came from acting,
Yeah.
being the governor of California.
Although,
Except
actually, you know what? I
property.
might take that back because he did that. He did the governor job for 8 years,
Hmm.
and he didn't make a film in his prime. So that would have actually cost him. He would have made $60 million a year doing films,
Hmm.
at very least 30. So, you know, or at the very least 20. That's probably cost him $150, $200 million doing that job.
Did he also get divorced? Wasn't
Yeah, but he
caught
divorced
in
again. Hey, what? He can't have a baby with the housekeeper?
Well, he can, but he will
What
probably
what
get
is this?
divorced as a
Bloody-
result.
this is bloody crucible. Bloody witch trials.
So anyway, so Arnold number 1. Number 2, a guy called Rich Gaspari, but most of his $90 million.
Yeah.
Well, most of his wealth came from starting the company,
Yes.
Gaspari Nutrition. Jay Cutler, who we've spoken about, $30 million. It's
pretty good.
Number 3, yeah, and he's been big in media since, like bodybuilding
Yeah,
media.
I've seen and heard him before.
Yeah. Ronnie Coleman, number 4, at $10 million. Fourth wealthiest bodybuilder of all time, and we're down to $10 million. And rounding out at number 5, Gary Stridham at $8 million.
Wow.
So you can just see how much like the prize money at Mr. Olympia,
Really tails
the
off.
wealth
Yeah.
really tails off very quickly.
Wow. No money in it is my takeaway.
Yeah, I'm dropping it.
Yeah.
I'm going to 4. I have
Yeah.
3. There's nothing in
It's
this.
probably
But what you
it's
have
probably
to
on par
get-
with gold medals.
It's
Yeah.
pretty true. But
Yeah.
what you have to do to get to the point where you could be considered as someone who would go on stage and try and compete, the
Hundreds of
cost,
thousands.
the time, you
Yeah.
can't do anything else,
Yeah.
the lifestyle,
Yeah.
I'm down to 1. There is
Yeah.
no money in this.
Yeah.
But chicks dig it.
I don't think they do.
Do they? You got no
Certain chicks.
Instagram DMs.
Certain chicks. Oh my God, chicks don't dig it.
I don't think they do.
They don't.
Anyway.
Nice one.
Anyway.
All right.